This is how we ride. This is how we do.
I actually went up to a race shop this last weekend in Sioux Falls. Husets coming up. I'm looking forward to that Husets racing action this year. I think it's going to be a very eventful weekly racing action scene, especially with me helping bring this Caleb Henry West Coast guy into the scene with the Liebig Motorsports number 10. It's going to be a really good action-packed week in and week out event. You got the High Banks Nationals. You got all these different things going on. And after learning a little bit more about what's going on with Danny Lasoski this year, because you see people in here like, what's going on? How is he crew chiefing this and that? So basically, Lasoski, from my understanding, don't really want to be a crew chief for anybody full time. And instead of committing to just one in particular person, he's willing to give, like this article said in 2020, years of knowledge to hand-selected teams that he finds intriguing, has gotten to know, they've got to know him, teams that have the aspirations to run in sprint car racing, which is a big deal in today's society, has somewhat the funding to do it, but doesn't necessarily have the knowledge. Some of these teams out here are the late model type people of the sprint car world. They're just not the top echelon sprint car people that get represented and kind of represent the sport. There's a lot of teams out here where guys are in the shop every single week, the drivers themselves working on cars, trying to become something, but they really don't have the knowledge. They're so busy working, they can't really do this or that. They're only tweaking on the race car based on what they've experienced, and they could really use a guy like a Danny Lasoski who kind of knows what top performance needs in today's world. Traditionally, you call that a crew chief, but it sounds like a guy like Danny Lasoski is trying to spin this knowledge into something that is a little bit more philanthropic. I think if you want to say it like that, it's more so like giving guys help that they need to get up to speed, and they're hand selected, and it's almost like a consultant type advisory situation. You know, I just went up to Brant O'Banion, which is the driver I was visiting in Sioux Falls, and they're in a situation where they're doing everything. They're doing it the late model way. You know, the sprint car world, the image of a sprint car racer is they get out the car, they go in the trailer and get on the phone. Talk to the crew chief, this is what happened, and okay, go. Late model world, driver goes out there and hits the wall or crashes or something. They go into the pits and they start working on the car, and the fans really appreciate that the driver's actually still hands-on with the vehicle. But in the sprint car world, the image of it is more so that guy who gets out and gets on the phone. Whereas the Brant O'Banions of the world, they go out here and they have to, if they wreck the car, he's got a freaking frame straightening machine. I mean, if they want to have a part for the car, you know, they're CNCing it themselves. You know, they're making this, they're doing that, they're putting in all the damn work. If they wreck the car, they got to go to the shop all week and fix it. These are the working men of sprint car racing are out there. And they're working so damn hard, they don't have the knowledge to keep up and keep going. And a guy like Danny Lasoski, which is going to be working with Brant O'Banion this year as well, is going to be in this consultation advisory situation where he's coming into a team, has already kind of developed a relationship, wants to give this team some help, and is going to advise how to set the car up, what to do here, what kind of shock brands to use, is going to advise on where to run, how to run the car, how much you need here, how much you need there. Not necessarily a full-time crew chief that these little guys, they can't afford what the big guys are paying. But Danny Lasoski kind of using his, knowledge and not being dumb with it, not just wasting it, not being selfish with it either and just devoting it to one team only, but kind of taking a route where he's going to help these little guys who could take 20, 30 years to even get to what he knows and how to do, and is going to help them develop quicker. And it's a role that is needed, and not everyone can afford a crew chief. There's a lot of working men in sprint car racing that need to speed up and get some more attention so that the image of a sprint car racer isn't this guy who gets out the car and just jumps on the cell phone. It's a guy who gets out the car and starts working on his stuff. These working men representations are lacking in the sprint car industry right now. There's not too many guys working on the race car, and that's not good. It don't give you respect. I've seen it on the late model side, how much the people, the sponsors, everybody respects that working man. Danny Lasoski ain't coming in to Brant O'Banion's team out of Sioux Falls and taking over the operation and being crew chief. But he is going to be a consultational advisor, which is kind of the feeling that I'm getting from these other scenarios. But, you know, it looks really good to say crew chief. And maybe he is crew chief. Maybe he's going to be there every single week at this 99 team. All I do know is that he's helping a bunch of guys, not just one, get up to speed in this sprint car department. You know, I'm starting to feel the same way. You know, I'm going to be doing some stuff with Brant O'Banion because he's a working guy. I like him. We got a relationship. And I'm going to help him on the branding department. They can't afford some big, giant team or big, giant marketing or brand marketer to come in there and set them up and dub them out with the right hats and the right logos and the shirts and the branding. They don't have a brand guy. You know, so in a weird way, I'm going to start doing for little teams what Danny Lasoski is doing, coming in and offering a bunch of knowledge and setting them up for success. You know, we can only send people out on the, I'm sure Danny said, we can only send you out on the track set up as good as we could set you up. It's up to you to perform and actually take advantage of what we're providing. And that's going to be like what I'm going to do with the branding side with some of these lower funded teams, is setting them up to look professional, look successful, and go out there. And there's a lot of little teams that just don't have the knowledge like I do to be able to take a cell phone and make a documentary TV series. I mean, I can do that. We're probably going to be doing a few of those this year, or go out, create logos, create numbers, create the branding ideology that you need to project at a weekly race. I'm going to be doing that for a bunch of little teams this year that could have never thought of even doing it because they don't have the time or the experience or the knowledge or the funds to pay an actual giant crew chief branding company to come in and do it for them. So I kind of see where Danny's coming from and wanting to help guys that he finds a relationship to. 3 to 4 is what I'm hearing. Brant O'Banion out of Sioux Falls is another guy, 360, 410 guy. He's got a championship on his resume, but it's him and his dad, and they're working on the cars, building the cars, fixing the cars, doing this, doing that. And they could race the rest of their life and not know what Danny Lasoski knows. You know, and that's valuable. And I think you can have knowledge and you can be dumb, or you can have knowledge and you can be smart. And I think the separation between being dumb with that knowledge and smart with that knowledge is figuring out a way to monetarily make it valuable and also keep some morals and values intact. And it should be what a lot of the legends of the late model world need to start thinking of doing, because I hear a lot of the legends over there in the late model world from the 80s, 90s era are not financially doing too well. And it's one of those sad things that people aren't talking about. All these big names, this, that, and the other. They all spent their money and they don't know how to make money anymore. They made a living on their name their entire life. You got to be smart and make a living in what you know. And that's the difference between having knowledge and being smart and having knowledge and being dumb. And I think what Danny Lasoski is doing is extremely smart and could be learned from others. I was out there trying to do something with Brant when all this came about. And I'm like, hey, what he's doing, helping out these little guys and giving a little, opportunity to expand and do is what I can be doing for a bunch of these little teams in the branding and management and marketing and making y'all look pro and setting you up for success as well. So mutual understanding here with Danny Lasoski, and I'm going to be happy to cover and do stuff with one of his guys, Brant O'Banion out of the Sioux Falls area, actually T, South Dakota. Yeah, like the actual T. And really good guys, working hard-working sprint car drivers is what we need the image of this sport to kind of get back to. I think the image of the drivers getting out of the cars and going into the trailer and jumping on the cell phones is not the image that's going to bring respect to this sport. I'm sorry, guys, and I'm not being mean to y'all. Y'all have monkey see, monkey do that. Y'all have watched all y'all's little bitty icons. I'm not going to say big icons. Y'all's little bitty icons do the same thing, and that's how y'all were taught to just be that way ever since you were in the little bitty micro. That's not how it always has to be. And I think nationally, that's why those late model guys get a little bit more respect. Jonathan Davenport puts his damn car into the wall at Eldora and destroys the whole damn side. He's out there beating and banging and fixing the damn car. And those fans and people and colleagues respect that shit. And we need to get back to respecting the sprint car drivers who do that as well. Anyways, that's who I want to help out. That's who Danny Lasoski is going to be helping out. And hopefully that clears up a little bit of this situation. I'm not so sure on the crew chief deal. I know what's going on over in Sioux Falls, and from my understanding, everything else is pretty similar. So it's more so a consultant advisory role, helping a guy out straight up, devoting some knowledge to some teams that he has handpicked, and hopefully helping some of these smaller teams, little guys, progress. Coaching role, could you call it that? I don't know. I mean, coaching, this is kind of nostalgic. Consulting, advisory, what you should do here, what you should do there, knowing, providing parts and stuff that he has specifically picked out to give to teams, and making sure that all that lines up with what he's telling them to put on the car. That way a guy could run the heat race and say, oh, I felt this, I felt that. Jump on the phone with them, tell them, hey, here's what's going on, and what do I do? And he knows the shocks there. He knows what bars are. He's like, change this, change that. Track knows what that's doing. Give it a little, and bam, he's able to help 3 or 4 guys on one night on a small-time budget that a big team could just take him in there and make him a crew chief for all year long, and that way the driver can just get out the car and go jump on the cell phone. I like what Danny Lasoski is promoting here. I think that that is an amazing idea. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's the situation. Brant O'Banion, pay attention to him. He's also now on this roster of drivers for the team of Danny Lasoski, it seems like. And that's cool. I like it. Bring some intrigue. Little team trying to put all their eggs in one basket, make it happen this year. And that kind of knowledge and that kind of effort and that kind of willingness to help little guys out is something that I think we should be honoring and idolizing for what Danny Lasoski is attempting to do here in 2023. Not just down there in Knoxville, not just with Zomer, not just this guy. I think what he's doing is something that's never been done before. And would we expect anything less than that from the dude? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, like the video, comment below, and let me know what you think. Interesting way to go about it, but is this kind of what these smaller time working class sprint car teams kind of need? Because knowledge is what makes these cars go around. And it's not like we can all be out there buying the Bentleys of crew chiefs. And luckily a guy like Danny Lasoski is willing to give a little bit. I think it's great. Comment below with what you think. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, till next time.
This is how we ride, this is how we do.